Man versus Yoga.
In episode 3 of Man vs. Yoga, Man performs his interview with local Austin, Texas fire dancer Kate Fuego and informs us of his most recent struggle. Bitte willkommen, Jim Boy.
Bliss. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, where you have landed on Man vs. Yoga, Season 3, Episode 3, Yoga on Fire. In continuing with our Man vs. Yoga existential interview series, we have the lovely, amazing fire dancer, Kate Fuego, on this show, and you will learn all you ever wanted to know about fire dancing and a little extra sauce. So my name is Jim Ward. Bliss to the universe. Bliss, thank you for showing up. My trusty sidekick Gunter, as always. Willie, Bliss. Sarah, Bliss. Sarah handles our social media and is holding a gun to me right now. If I don't mention, if you are on our YouTube channel, if you subscribe, you win a wish, like a real wish, a medium one, like, I don't know, when you see 1111, like that size one, not a shooting star one, once again. Excuse me. But also our Facebook and our Instagram is what we're doing most of our posting on. So all of these are Man vs. Yoga. And then our website is manversusyoga.com. And she's satisfied. I won. So Gunter, how have you been? How have things been?
I'm living the dream.
The man, look at him. Does he not look like someone who's living the dream? You are the dream.
Yes.
What are you talking about? It's your house. We're all just renting space, man.
Well, I understand, Jim. So you're working on a book. How's it going?
So,
well, I guess for the audience, they may not know that Jim is working on a book. Something about haikus and sonnets, alternating.
So yes, are you asking me if I'm losing my inner sanity writing a book for HarperCollins with alternating sonnets and haikus?
Yes. Is it conflicting?
Is it conflicting? Yes. It's very difficult.
So you combine the two of them together.
Well, so what I do, I'm something of a wordsmith, obviously. So HarperCollins had approached me to write a book alternating haikus and sonnets. Everyone's two types, favorite types of poems. Prose, that's for the proletariat, right? So I took this on, not thinking about the time constraints. And at the end, I'm combining sonnets and haikus. It's difficult.
Do you have an example for the audience?
Oh, geez. Sure. Okay. Babbling brook, a chestnut tree, thee and me, one. There we go. And that's on the house. That's on the house. But the books, it is tearing me up. To answer your question succinctly.
Sorry for asking.
Oh, no, I shouldn't have been poking at you.
You asked me how I was doing, so.
Well, I see that your hair is still the best afro of anyone that I know. So
Yes.
Keep growing that out. How long have you been growing it?
I give it say, actually, I cut it. Yeah.
Did you really?
But you didn't notice.
Well, it looked different, I guess. That's why, because it was getting out of shape, where
Yes.
parts of it was kind of mangy.
So let's introduce the duplicity of yoga.
The duplicity of yoga.
Oh, the ghost of duplicity is a creepy bastard, creepy old man. Not unlike myself. And this episode's duplicity. It is on the duality I see in man and dog's relationship and the inverted nature it can sometimes reach. So yes, that was 4 double negatives. So I'm not sure if we're talking up or down, but as you all know, I have my rescue dog, Buddy Zotva, the greatest dog in the world. First dog I've ever had. And it's the most important thing in my life by some distance. There's a lot of people who like to get certain breeds, and I don't know, maybe if you're a hunter, you need a dog to go hunting with you. That makes sense, I guess. But otherwise, there's a billion amazing rescue pets available to us. And I've noticed now that I have a dog for the first time, people treat you differently. It's odd. So there's someone that I practice yoga with, and we'll call him Freddie, and his dog is not named Bo, it's named Joe. So Freddie, he's a musician, let's say, and let's say he was playing for people, right? So after they got through playing, they end up at an apartment party, and Joe is hot. He jumps in the swimming pool. So this apartment manager comes out with the townspeople, right, with their pitchforks and their flames. What are the torches? And they're all after. And she says, "The pool is closed for 30 days," and puts down her pitchfork. And so everyone's like, so Freddie, who had been entertaining them, all of a sudden they turn on him. Like, whose dog is this? Do you even live here? He's like, hey man, I was just, what the hell? All I can think of is Caddyshack, when they found the floating duty and they just, cleaned the pool for a day. 30 days because the dog jumps in the pool. So they get so freaked out at Freddie, they're following to his car, right? Asking him why he's there, getting his license plate, all this stuff, just because his dog jumped in a swimming pool. And FYI, the way the story ends, on Monday, the swimming pool was open in that apartment. Mm. But this woman hated dogs so much, she wanted to make an example out of Freddie and Joe. And Joe's the greatest dog in the world. Joe's met Buddy and they get along. Everyone gets along with Buddy. But people who don't get dogs, I don't know if I need to know you. And such is the duplicity of yoga.
The duplicity of yoga.
Moving forward, so excited for this Man versus Yoga existential interview series. Part 2, the amazing Austin-based fire dancer, Kate Fuego, telling us everything we ever wanted to know about fire dancing, which is a lot. So here we go. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Man versus Yoga existential interview series, part number 2. And with us, we have the lovely Kate Fuego, the great fire dancer here in Austin. Kate, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for the kind introduction.
It's very warranted. So Gunter had Kate for a 4th of July housewarming party, and I had known Kate beforehand.
And we know each other because we met at Alice's yoga class. It was your last podcast guest.
Exactly. It's funny how that circles and so forth. But I've had a question I've always wanted to ask you since I've learned you were a fire dancer. I'm like, wow, like that's something like you see, but you don't ever meet one, right? It's kind of like aerial. Like when people learn I do aerial, they're like, so like Cirque du Soleil stuff, and you're like, sure, But so my very first question is, where is the weirdest place you've ever been burnt?
The weirdest place I've ever been burnt. Okay, I have a good answer for this. So I started fire dancing in 2004, and I was living in California at the time. I moved to Austin in February of 2005.
Okay.
And I was performing at a party in Oakland, California when I was brand new. And I'm up on a stage. There's about 100 people in this backyard. And I could tell as I'm performing, I burnt something near my eye. And I couldn't tell. And the show must go on. There's 100 people there. So I finish my set. I extinguish my poi and I look at my safety watch and I say, are my eyebrows on? And she's like, no, you look fine. I'm like, something is wrong here. So I go into the bathroom, I check, like everything looks like it's on. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it was just an ember. I should just not worry about this so much. But the following Monday, I'm getting ready for work and, take the mascara ones, go to put them on my eyelashes. I have no eyelashes.
Oh my God.
So I burnt my eyelashes.
Wow.
And you don't miss your eyelashes until you don't have them.
Well,
So it was
totally.
And it was only on one eye. So I had eyelashes on one eye, but not on the other because they melted. So for the next, 2 weeks until they grew back, every time I looked in the mirror, I was like,
well, did you put
So
mascara
that is-
on the one that had the lash?
no, I just let it be.
That would have been awesome.
I just let it be.
And said it was some kind of statement.
Let's not highlight the fact that I only have one set of my eyelashes.
and so like I lost a big toe like a year and a half ago, and it takes a little over a year for it to grow back. How long does it take eyelashes to grow back?
About 2 weeks, it's fine.
Oh wow, okay, that wasn't bad at all.
No.
So how long have you been doing this?
Since 2004, so quite a while. So when I was in college, I saw fire dancing for the first time, and I just thought it was so beautiful. And I was living in the Bay Area, and where do you find things in the Bay Area in approximately 2004? Craigslist. So I go on to Craigslist and just type in fire dancing, and sure enough, an ad pops up, fire dancing lessons in my loft. So I emailed the woman and said, hello, I would like to join your class. And, the class is probably half friends and half straight randoms like me who just happened to find it. And I had no agenda that I thought I'd take to it or get good at it or anything, but it was so much fun. I just kept doing it.
So is it, I mean, it's weird because I've been in the circles we run in, you meet a lot of people who do a lot of unique things. I've never met another fire dancer. So like,
well, now that you know me, Jim, just keep your eyes open because it seems like once you meet one, you just see many of them around.
well,
But I would also say that fire dancers are hiding in plain sight. I mean, there's a lot of people who, like me, their profession is something else, and fire dancing is, the way to be part of the cultural fabric of your city.
Yeah, I mean, very well said. So in Austin, so once again, we're based in Austin, and both Kate and I live in Austin. You live in Austin, right? Officially?
I live in Travis Heights in South Austin, yes.
Okay, wasn't sure. So we're both South Austinites, which means we're much cooler than Austinites in general, as a rule of thumb.
I mean, I don't like to discriminate, but I do have an affinity for South Austin.
I discriminate openly and aggressively. It's the best way to do it. Everyone knows where you stand. But so when you got into it, once again, I can only equate it from like starting aerial. Like there, you reach levels. So she is so good. Whenever we were having her for this party, she was like, she rattled off all the apparatus that she can dance with. She balanced this on her head. It was crazy. So how many types of fire dancing are there? Does that make sense?
Oh gosh, I mean, there's infinite props, and people keep making new, interesting, different things to play with every day. So I wouldn't even say, that there's 17 different props you can play with, because I mean, people keep making new stuff.
Well, what is so? I think it was Gunter who was talking about the Thai fire dancers. What did they do? What are they known for?
Well, in Thailand, okay, I have never been to Thailand, but what I do know is that there have been regular full moon parties in Thailand for years, which have been gathering spaces for fire dancers all over the world. So if you go to a full moon party anywhere in Thailand, you will likely see amazing fire artists from all corners of the globe there to perform, just because it's a magnet for that. But fire dancing actually originated with the Maori tribes of New Zealand. And it's really interesting to see Maori poi dancing because it is very different from the way you see it here. The poi are much larger and they're hollow. And instead of setting them on fire, they're almost used as drums. So there's all these cool rap moves where they do, I mean, rap like WRAP, not rapping, but they rap the moves, and then as that happens, it makes a drumming sound as they roll and unroll and spin it around each other. I mean, I went to see a Maori poi dancing exhibition in Auckland, and it was so cool. And I talked to the dancers afterwards, and I had my set of practice poi with me, and I showed them, oh, I'm a poi dancer in the United States, and I've been doing this for years. Here's my practice set. And they were like, ooh, these are much longer and heavier than what we use. I'm like, yeah, they're not drums at all. You set them on fire.
When did you become great? Because
well, Jim, like anything, it still takes time to develop. So when I started in 2004, I did, a 6-week class that I found out about on Craigslist. And then our last class, we all lit up poi for the first time on the roof of this loft building. It is right on 6, like right off of Folsom and Soma in San Francisco, if you know the neighborhoods at all. Anywho, so after that class, our teacher told us, okay, for those of you who want to keep doing this, there's a practice every Tuesday and Thursday in Golden Gate Park and a practice every Sunday in Oakland. So I started going on Tuesdays and Thursdays in Golden Gate Park. I used to live in a little neighborhood called Coal Valley, which is right near the it's like the south corner of Golden Gate Park. So I would just roll on my rollerblades into the park and bring my poi and go to practice, and met a bunch of people who said, hey, well, you're new, but we are training to put together a conclave for the Burning Man Festival. Would you like to be in our Burning Man conclave? But a Burning Man conclave? What does that mean? People explain to me, oh, well, we are going to go perform at a festival in Burning Man, and it's in Nevada, and they need fire dancers to put on a show before they blow up the man at the end of the festival. And, we know each other through our jam music family. So, my mentality in 2004, oh, so you want fire dancing at a festival, so kind of like Bonnaroo. And no, that's not what Burning Man is. Like, oh, okay. So, honestly, I sort of fell into my first conclave. So we practiced, multiple times a week. We all had to audition to get into our group. And then we put on this amazing show at the Burning Man Festival. A group of us from San Francisco. We were called Temple of Poi. And we got to be part of the show. Then the following year, and that was, so Burning Man happens Labor Day every year. So that was around Labor Day 2004. February 2005, I moved to Austin for work, took a job promotion that brought me here. And at that point, I was plugged in enough on the internet to know, where do you find fire dancers? So every Monday night, there used to be a practice at a space that no longer exists here in Austin. It was called the Enchanted Forest, which you may or may not remember, but we had practice every Monday at the Enchanted Forest. I lived in Austin, so I came here for work, and then I did my master's at the University of Texas. So while I was in school between 2006 and 2008 doing my MBA at UT, took a bunch of fire gigs to, help pay the bills while I was in school. And that's really where I started, professional gigs, was when I was a business school student at the University of Texas.
That's awesome. So what was your first gig?
Oh, gosh. I'd have to think back on that, because my first true gig probably was, this party in Oakland, for example. I did that when I lived in the Bay Area. So I'd have to think back about that. What was my first true fire gig? But it was definitely in California before I moved to Austin.
Okay. So
and the first big festival I did was Burning Man 2004, which, way to start.
Yeah, that's like before it was even known to, like, that's amazing. Yeah, I just wondered if you're really nervous, like, for the first show. Like, I would be scared to death.
I wasn't nervous. Okay. The first time I ever tried fire dancing with my class, what I remember the most is the thing that was surprising and a little nerve-wracking is how loud it is to dance with fire, because there's this whoosh of the flames that you're not expecting when you've practiced with unlit props, and that was a surprise.
How many times, you have long hair? Did you have long hair back then?
Oh yeah, I mean my hair has been shoulder length or longer for pretty much ever since my hair grew to be that long.
So same here usually. I've just recently had it changed. But
I mean, everyone's getting their pandemic styles.
exactly. I had the whole John Lennon bob weave thing. But so did you catch your hair on fire a lot?
I mean, Wednesday at Purple Bee, I left with singed hair, so that's just part of the deal.
Okay, see, I just assumed like I'm watching you and I'm like, how does she not like screw up like in a long set, right? One time is all it takes to, lose an eyelash.
Well, okay, but I mean, when I say I left with singed hair as recently as last Wednesday, that, just your hair's a little, like, you can feel like, ooh, that's a little bit crunchy. I guess I got that a little close to my head. It's not like you set your hair on fire and the whole thing burns off.
Yeah,
I mean, I've never had anything like that happen, but I do know people who have stories of, yes, I did not secure my hair adequately and I had problems with keeping my hair afterwards. I mean, again, I lost eyelashes once, but I've never lost my hair.
Well, you mentioned Wednesday night at Purple Bee. So Rick and Isaac always talk about Purple Bee, and I know Grego does it. Tell me a little bit about that and how you ended up doing that. And it's fantastic online to watch. My gosh.
When the world changed, since 2018, I have been part of a fire dancing troupe that's based in Costa Rica. And with my Costa Rica friends who live around the world, when we were all encouraged to stay home, I didn't have creative collaborators, or not locally anyway. So, and professionally, I've been in the type of work for the last 10 years. I mean, I've changed my life now in a pandemic, but I used to have the type of jobs where I was traveling 100 days or more per year. So it was sort of irrelevant that I was in a dance troupe that was based in Costa Rica because I was traveling all the time anyway. So in a stay-home world, to keep myself entertained, I just started making fire videos in the backyard to music I like. The band Fish, for example, which is my favorite band, started doing streams once a month that they called Dinner and a Movie. So during the Dinner and a Movie shows, I would take my speaker outside, make a fire video, and post it on Instagram. And some people that I know who are also fishy dancers would repost my videos. So I made all these new dance friends just from the power of dancing on Instagram. And then I did the same for music of local bands that I liked. So I made a Jagtronica video, put it on Instagram, and the guys noticed and got invited out on a Wednesday. So they play 2 sets of improvisational music every Wednesday. And then they asked me to do a fire dancing set at their set break. So set up a camera outside. I did some dancing. They have a live visual artist who paints the screen on tops, and there's an outdoor monitor so I can see what he's doing and sort of dance in between everything that's being drawn on screen. So the next day, because they keep all the archives on YouTube and Twitch, I rewatched the video because I'm always interested in seeing, okay, what did I look like? How can I improve? And Jen, I've never seen such a highly produced video of myself dancing. Like, I had no idea. I knew I was good, but I didn't know I looked like that. So, sort of, mind blown. So later on that day, and it's a Thursday in, I don't know, February. I mean, this is last winter. I was over at the Far Out Lounge, and this is back when you weren't supposed to leave your table. You were in a pod. So I'm at the Far Out Lounge in my pod. And I see Evan Bozar sitting at a picnic table by himself. And, just had that, I don't care that it's sketchy to go over there. I just saw a guy last night, wandered over there, sat down, just looked at him and said, Evan, I watched the video. And then he looked right back at me and said, Kate, are you available every Wednesday? So that's how I came to be part of the Wednesday group party. I just made weird fire dancing videos on Instagram to keep myself entertained as the world changed, and met some of the greatest creative collaborators I could have asked for.
That they do produce that so amazingly, and I implore people to see some of those. Everything you do is so real quick on Facebook. How do people find you? While I'm thinking about
well, you can't find me on Facebook because I do not exist on Facebook. I do have an Instagram account and a Twitter account though, and my handle is at Kate Fuego, but K like the letter, 8 like the number, so alphanumerically.
So, and we'll post all this, and I'll ask you again probably too.
And you can find Purple Bee at Purple Bee TV on all the socials.
So there was a yoga class that Alice was teaching where she had started recording, and you and I didn't know because we were off. Like, remember, there were 2 shade trees, and it was really hot and sunny, and it was everyone.
I always find the shade as an Irish person. I get to choose from 2 colors, which are white and red.
Exactly, and so the 2 of us went to the shade because we're the 2 most pale people in that group. Well, no, I mean, common for me, it was like I can either be hot over there, I can move 15 feet and be in the shade. But so this catches all of this on the webcast, and it's online. I'm like, hey, Kate, what'd you do last night? I fire danced on a pirate ship. What'd you do? At that moment, I was just like, that's when I wanted you to do Gunter's party. When you tell, I'm like,
well, and that's interesting because talk about how things happen through the Jamily. So that pirate event that you were talking about. So Scotty Reeling, who performs in Jagtronica, and that's one of the bands that plays the Purple Bee regularly on Wednesdays. His wife Christina was part of putting together an event out by Lake Travis where they were launching a pirate ship and just having a beach party. And because they'd seen me out on Wednesdays, they asked me to be a part of that event. So that's how I got that. I mean, most of the events that I've done as the world has started to reopen have all been referrals because of the Purple Bee and Rancho Relaxo families.
So how like, are you booked up pretty heavily? Like, if people...
Well, a lot of fire dancers like to call it, down here in Texas, like to call October Gigtober because, it's not just Halloween parties that want fire, but, there's just lots of events and festivals happening. Travis for Utopia Fest is having me as an art installation. So I will be at Utopia Fest all 3 days, and awesome. I'll be performing at Old Settlers on Friday night with Kalu and the Electric Joint. So I'll be there as well. And, between festivals and private events, October just, it's a busy month here in Texas. The weather's good. Everyone wants to be outside. It's a wonderful time to enjoy life and your friends in Central Texas.
Yeah. So if people wanted to book you, what would be the best way for them to go about that?
Reach out to me and we'll talk.
It's as simple as that. And so again, we will put all of your contact information in the podcast. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to answer all of these fire dancing questions, which had been driving me nuts. And the weirdest place burnt, I'd always wondered, like an arm, because I knew it would be a funny story. And
eyelashes, definitely.
Exactly. So have a great afternoon and enjoy this gorgeous day behind you. And I will see you soon. Hopefully. I haven't seen you in a while, actually. So hopefully.
Oh, because, the last couple of Rancho shows, I've had other events. But I'm sure we will reconvene soon, Mr. Jim.
All right. Take care, Kate. Nice talking with you as always.
Nice talking to you too. Take care.
Wow. Thank you very, 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 very much, Kate. Bliss. She lost an eyelash. That would stink. That would stink. Although I thought her answer on that was going to be worse. But if you want to hire Kate, I cannot recommend her highly enough. And here is information on how to contact Kate Fuego. Thank you again for our esteemed attendees. On our next episode, we are very hopeful to have a real live Austin-based firefighter who started a charity to teach yoga for free to first responders. And she's amazing. She's like a superhero. She really is. So I've got to send out the Whitney signal to see if I can get her to come down from, Olympus and talk with us mere mortals.
And everyone in the Man vs. Yoga universe, please send in your questions and answers to Jim on any of the social media platforms.
Just questions. I'll do the answers.
Oh, okay. Well, please send in your questions. And for a new segment, we will introduce.
It's like the scary part of the forest where it turns like dark, and like if you go in there, like you're gonna die. Like that's the gym zone.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a real thing too. It exists.
So
It
send in
exists.
good answers for everybody. Or good questions, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that please do, and I will do my best to answer as many as possible. The universe, I cannot thank enough. So
Yes, and there's lots of swag available still.
yes, season 3 merchandise will be coming out in the next month, less than a month.
Yes.
The supply chain. What are you gonna do, right? Just blame if there's a problem, blame it on the supply chain.
Yes, they're shipping it from North Korea. Special order.
Exactly. North Korea's best textiles coming from them to us to you. We're kidding because that's illegal. Also, don't forget, visit the YouTube page, hit subscribe, and win a wish. Except if you wish to have my dog. That's the one wish I would ask that you don't wish for.
Or the welcome gnome.
Or the welcome gnome. This little bastard. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a prosperous and happy and peaceful period until we see one another again very soon for more mirth, bliss,